We're going to take a look now at the outsourcing of news. Many businesses, rightly or wrongly, see outsourcing as a cost-cutting cure-all, avoid those expensive first-world employees and transfer their jobs to places like India or China, where workers earn less and often work longer. Now the news media are giving it a try. The example that caught our attention has an American news company challenging the idea that good local news reporting requires good local reporters. The Listening Post's Meenakshi Ravi now on an experiment involving Los Angeles, California and Mumbai, India, that has implications for news reporting everywhere in between.
India, the world's second most populous country. In the city of Mumbai alone, there are 13 million people and a booming media industry. It isn't a problem to find good journalists for hire, but the job ad that made news here involved hiring journalists to cover a local beat. Local to Pasadena, California, that is. Online newsletter Pasadena Now has recruited 2 Indian journalists to cover the city's council meetings, using video streamed on the web.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Pasadena City Council's.
I thought it was a hoax, to tell you the truth. I thought it was somebody who was pulling my leg when they sent me the email of the posting. And I had to read it very carefully, and the more carefully I read it, the more I thought it was a hoax until someone verified it for me.
Journalism is not like pig farming or the manufacture of dungarees. It's a different business. It's about seeking the truth, even at the lower level of the Pasadena City Council. It's about seeking the truth. And you just can't do that by watching a videotape halfway across the globe. It's the fundamental fact about city council meetings in the United States that they are crushingly boring events.
And one of the recommendations that was part of this, parking meters that is.
You know, I feel for these poor Indian journalists who have to sit through this thing. This is the dregs of journalism. We've all done it. It's how you learn to be a reporter. But I don't think this man in California, this Mr. McPherson, couldn't get people to do the job. I think he wanted to do it on the cheap.
Pasadena Now owner James McPherson declined to comment for this story. He did succeed, however, in employing 2 Indian journalists for less than the price of 1 American. In media circles, the story has traveled fast, even to the editor of North London local newspaper, the Ham and High.
I mean, for me, journalism at events like that is all about what happens, you know, in the corridors before or after a meeting, the conversations between councillors, politicians and journalists, the conversations afterwards in the coffee shops. You know, unfortunately, what people are going to get from this is just simply a very sanitized version, really, of what's going on, because councils don't really let you see all the interesting stuff in their website streams of their meetings.
So is this the future of journalism? Well, if it makes economic sense, you can bet that it can and will continue to happen. Media giants like Reuters have already set the ball rolling by outsourcing a proportion of their US operations to India, especially for Wall Street analysis. And if they can make it work, well, it's an open field. American business and technology analyst Maria Trombley has set up her operations in China. She hires journalists there and in India to report on global business events. Outsourcing journalism is definitely working for her.
Indian journalists, Chinese journalists have grown up with friends. They've grown up with watching CNN, with reading American newspapers. It's much, much more widespread than any other culture on this planet right now, and we dominate the media landscape. So when it comes to picking up on American cultural references, foreign journalists are a lot better suited to doing so than are American journalists suited to covering foreign cultures.
Chinese and Indian journalists are doing the same job on considerably less money. But Maria thinks she can justify the disparity.
This is reasonable money. They're sought after jobs, they're high status jobs, they're fun jobs. You talk to executives at major US companies, you cover big earth-shaking business news stories. It's a great opportunity, especially for young journalists who's just starting out.
Indian journalist Ishara Bhasi is based in London, and she is confident about working for employers all over the world.
Well, I don't see it as Indian journalists being exploited because they're being paid probably more than what Indian journalists get paid by Indian outlets in India to do the same job. But I guess the journalists in wherever the job is being outsourced from, they are the ones who are losing out.
Back in Pasadena, the work of the new Indian recruits is starting to appear online. There's no noticeable difference from the rest of the magazine, but that is not going to satisfy outsourcing's critics.
The people that he's exploiting are his readers. You know, his readers have a right to understand what really happened at a meeting like that, and you're not going to get that by watching TV.
And we've seen the last of news organizations outsourcing journalism. I doubt it. I think we've probably just only begun.
It may just be that someday outsourced journalism will become as common as outsourced telephone banking.
Copy editing is very amenable to being done on the internet. You need good English skills, which they have in India. Copy editors often work odd hours to get a paper done the next day. Being in India is perfect for that. And all you need is an internet connection to do it. So that's, and I think that's obvious. I don't see why there would be any copy editing jobs in the United States in the near future.
Meenakshi Ravi reporting. And here's how our Global Village voices see that story.
What McPherson is doing is reversing the trend. And I say, go man, go for it, do it. Get the reporters in other countries to cover the basic fundamental reporting, allowing him to put his resources into other areas of investigative reporting and commentary. Why not have somebody sitting in India or another country reporting on a meeting that is taking place 10,000 miles away when another reporter would be seeing the exact same thing? Why not? Report the news. That's what it's about. I think the bigger issue, though, for the mainstream American media is something that they don't want to cover, and that's their own problems with bias and narrow coverage. They're the ones that have a problem, not McPherson.
In over 192 news outlets' coverage of the issue, the issue was more about the decline of journalism, of fear, hysteria, of the ethics of reporting at a distance. And the irony was that over 192 news outlets had used the same agency copy. None of them had actually bothered to call up the owner and talk to them, or to talk to the media specialists, say from South Asia. So I think this fits in with the overall theme of fear and the hysteria about India and China.
Finally, even if you've never played it, you're probably familiar with Tetris, the video game that challenges players to quickly manipulate shapes to fit into a pattern. Well, trust the Japanese to take the game off the video screen and stick it into a television studio, then add the human element. The result's all over the World Wide Web, and it's our Internet Video of the Week. We'll see you next time at The Listening Post. 抜けられない場合は壁に激突、泡で水の中へ。親父のポジションだ。親父のポジションだ。親父のポジション。親父のポジション。さあ壁が迫ってきた。さあ50本番抜けられるか。